Hi, and welcome to the ThruNite channel. So today we're going to be comparing the brand new ThruNite Lynx to a couple different flashlights here on the table. So first, of course, we have the Lynx. Next to it, we have the ThruNite TT20. Next to that, we have the ThruNite TN12 Pro. Over here, we have the Olight Seeker 3 Pro. And on the end, we have the Fenix E35. This one is the version 3. Alright, so first I want to go over the pricing and the max output. Of course, most important things when talking about flashlights. Now keep in mind, prices can change over time depending on when you see the video. But starting from the left, the ThruNite Lynx is 3100 lumens. These are $85.95 currently. Next to that, the ThruNite TT20. This puts out 2010 lumens max output, and they currently go for $49.99. The ThruNite TN12 Pro puts out 1900 lumens, and those currently go for $99.95. The Olight Seeker 3 Pro puts out 4000 lumens. Those are currently $110 online. And lastly, we have the Fenix E35 V3 that puts out 3000 lumens and is currently around $105 price tag. So starting with the ThruNite Lynx, we can see we have a removable dual position pocket clip. Alright, we have two buttons on the tail cap. The first button is to turn the light on. The second button here is a dedicated strobe button. Alright, this is a tactical feature that is very beneficial for people who use strobe. So you don't have to cycle through anything. It's literally just a button just for strobe. Alright, so it's very easy to access and very efficient. Now, it's a really cool addition to this light is this rotating ring here. Okay, we see we have an image for charging. What you want to do is rotate this ring, all right, and we'll expose the USB-C fast charging port. All right, this also works as a power source, all right, like a battery charger. So if you wanted to charge your cell phone, tablet, whatever, you can also use this like a power bank, which is a super cool addition. All right. So hitting the button on the back, we have, of course, momentary on if it's a soft press. If you click it in, it's just constant on. Then you're going to go ahead and hit that strobe button, and that is going to change our modes, okay, once the light is on. So you see we have a ultra low mode for the highest run time. All right, low, medium, high, and then of course that turbo, which is our full 3100 lumens. And I could feel the heat coming off of that just from this distance. It is quite bright, very, very powerful. Okay, it does have mode memory, so if you want it on that highest mode, shut it off, and when you turn it back on, you'll remember the mode. And this light is running on a 21700 battery. All right, this one's a 5000 milliamp hour. So that is the ThruNite Lynx. Next up, we have the ThruNite TT20. All right, we have a large switch on the bottom and a side switch. Large switch turns it on. The side switch, of course, changes our mode. All right, so we have an ultra low or moonlight mode, low, medium, high, and of course our turbo. All right, in this case, that's that 2010 lumens. All right, also has mode memory. You can shut that off. You notice this also has the two-position removable pocket clip if you want. This has a side panel that opens up for our charging port. This is another USB-C, so fast charging. This light also runs on the same 21700, and it is the 5000 milliamp hour battery. To get the strobe mode on the TT20, once the light is on, you're going to do a long press on the side button. All right, and there's our strobe mode. So yeah, that is the ThruNite TT20. Next up, we have the ThruNite TN12 Pro. Okay, very similar with the side switch as well as the tail switch. All right, same dual position clip as well, and same charging port that is on the side, USB-C. Now this one does work a little bit differently in that the tail switch just turns this on and off. You could do a momentary on, but this is just the full power. All right, so this is the 1900 lumens. If you want to use the other modes, you have to just use the side button to turn it on. All right, in that case, you can push and hold, and it'll cycle through. So low, medium, and high. Of course, when the light is off, if you do a long press, we have our moonlight mode as well. All right, double click, right to turbo, triple click for strobe. Pretty simple UI. Now this light, however, does run on the smaller 18650, and this one is a 3400 milliamp hour. All right, next up is the Olight Seeker 3 Pro. All right, this light does not have a tail switch. This does the magnetic charging through the base. We just have a side switch here, but we do have a couple of things to note. Once you turn the light on the right has the battery indicator, on the left is the power indicator. If you push and hold, it'll cycle through the modes, low, medium, and high. All right, but what's interesting is that the actual button has a bezel around it. If you rotate the bezel, you can actually change the output as well. All right, so counterclockwise would lower it, clockwise would raise that. All right, so pretty interesting feature on that light. And the power source for this is also a 21700 and also 5000 milliamp hour. So some other features on here. This does have a proximity sensor, so double click to turn on to the highest mode, but once you get close to the light, it senses that an object is close to it and actually cuts back the power. All right, that's kind of beneficial if you get really close to a wall or something. It's not going to reflect all the light back. Also, if you want to get a strobe, it's just a triple click. All right, then we have our strobe mode. All right, but yeah, pretty much it. There's no pocket clip on this particular model. And last up, we have the Fenix E35, again, version 3. All right, double click to turn the light on, single clicks to rotate through all of our outputs. All right, so we have low, medium, high, and then our turbo. And again, turbo for this is 3000 lumens. All right, you're going to push and hold to shut it off, but if you continue holding, it'll go to our strobe mode. So I'm pushing and holding, and there's strobe. Okay, and it does have 2 different frequencies. So it goes super fast and a little bit slower. All right, but again, push and hold, and it's off. We have a single removable pocket clip, so single position. And this light is running on, again, a 21700, and this one's 5000 milliamp hour. Also worth noting is that the charging port in this case is on the battery itself. All right, so you do have to remove it to charge it. There is no charging port on the flashlight body. All right, and that is the Fenix E35 V3. All right, so let's head outside and get some beam shots at night. All right, so first up here is the ThruNite Lynx, and this is about 60 to 70 feet. Of course, just like the other demos, we're going to go up and down, left and right. Next up, we have the ThruNite TT20. Next, we have the ThruNite TN12 Pro. Next up, we have the Olight Seeker 3 Pro. Last up, we have the Fenix E35. Okay, so I have to say all these lights are good, high quality flashlights. Of course, there's always going to be pros and cons. The brand new Lynx is a fantastic price. Again, $85.95. That may go cheaper if there's a sale, but 3100 lumens. This is the second brightest light on the table. The only one brighter is, of course, the Seeker 3. This is 4000 lumens, but again, $110 price tag compared to an $86 price tag. All right, quite the difference. Just like in a lot of comparison videos, the Fenix usually has a different UI. Most times, Olight and ThruNite stay very similar as far as UI. So if you use a lot of different flashlights and you're used to certain modes, like, you know, a moonlight mode or how to get to strobe by triple clicking, that's usually pretty universal between both these brands, which is nice. But Fenix is always a little bit different. So even when I do comparisons and stuff and try different flashlights, I sometimes forget how these function because it's just so common to have that type of platform. But overall, I mean, you can't go wrong. The ThruNite TN12 Pro is one of my all-time favorites. Not quite as bright, but has a ton of different features in there. I just really dig it. But ultimately, what's really, really nice and new with the Lynx is the fact that you can actually use the charging port as a power source. Okay, so if you keep this flashlight in your vehicle or a go bag or something like that, you need to charge your phone. It's always recommended you have a phone charger in your vehicle, like an extra cable. But you can use this as a power source as well, right, to charge things, which is just really, really a nice bonus for any flashlight. So if you're new to the channel and these videos, ThruNite does do free giveaways to all of the viewers. All you have to do to enter is comment on these videos and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.